Hey, what's up, Flatiron Schools? This is Tomaz Rodrigues for Carpe Omnia. I'm here doing the second version of my React-Redux final project video walkthrough. Let me just pull this up while the server's starting up. It's a pretty basic application. Basically, everything is stored within two big container components that retrieve data, set it all up within one central state, and then render components based off of their current orientation. Each of the components has its own sort of orientation substate maintained within the store. Since you do stuff like this, kind of zoom around, add a little animation, which I kind of like. It sort of lets you know that you're moving around, and because they're each separately maintained, I can do stuff like go to the right for jokes, go to the left for home, and when I go back to jokes, I'm back on the right. I mean, nothing particularly groundbreaking, but I think it's kind of neat. Let's see, what else should I really be showing off? Oh, yeah. You can navigate around the app quite quickly because you can use a hotkey for almost everything, even enabling and disabling the hotkey helpers themselves, which is kind of neat. You can even like sort of CD into text fields, edit them, submit the changes, all without touching your mouse. You can use nav elements, log in, log out, all without touching your mouse. There are some things that are a little harder or less convenient than others to use this for, like the spacebar does reveal joke punchlines, but it also kind of messes with the screen a little bit, so it's kind of better to use the mouse for these. Let's see, so that's pretty much what you're probably mostly interested in. You can edit your bio, send and receive messages. This is another thing where you probably prefer to use the mouse for replies, but sending new messages is very easy to do without that. And the way I sort of did this was that, like, I hooked up the whole document with an event listener, listens for keystrokes, and then checks to see if there are any hotkeys that correspond to the key you entered. And if those hotkeys are on elements that are currently rendered, then it'll select or click on those elements. This works a lot more smoothly for elements with click events because you can use one of these. I created like a little React component or whatever for hotkeys, and you pass in text, and if it's a click event or not. If it's a click event and you pass that in, then it like automatically hotkeys itself basically. If it's not, then you have to set it up over here in like a hash for hotkey events that are non-click. These can actually share hotkeys. I mean, obviously not with other elements that are rendered at the same time, but they can share them, although they do have to have the same class name or ID, which is slightly inconvenient. See, here's the main document that holds most of the stuff where it all comes together. Here's the nav, the header. It's got, as you can see, 5 different routes, although only 3 or 4 of them ever show up at a time, because obviously login isn't going to show up at the same time as logout, and log in and register aren't going to show up at the same time as logout. That would just be bad design. Let's see. Yeah, the other kind of cool sort of sub-component that I made for this is there's the nav arrow. These get rendered at the top of a lot of smaller things, and you pass in basically text in a direction, and then they sort of self-style and they operate their own click events, which is sort of neat, I guess. Again, I mean, obviously my favorite thing about nav arrows, other than saving me a lot of time, is that they do this cute little makes it really feel like kind of satisfying to blast around the application. So that's pretty much. Oh, right. There's actions. These handle all of the state changes and some of the, or most all of the fetch requests. There's a couple that haven't been implemented into actions just yet. There probably will be at some point. But those are just like, these compose the vast majority of all of them. That's actually why I'm reshooting this video, because last time I wasn't making good enough use of actions. I figured I'd want to save myself a failed code review and remake this and improve the application with some refactoring. Oh yeah, there's sort of a main reducer that handles pretty much everything. I was going to split this up, but on its own, it's actually not that big of a document. So, I mean, I can always split it up later. It's not a particularly enticing reason for me to do it right now. That's pretty much it. I'm not going to take up any more of your time than I need to. So, if you have any questions, you can email me or ask them during the code review. But yeah, I'm just going to cut this off here. Seems like a pretty good place to stop. Have a pleasant day or evening, whatever time you're watching this, really. Enjoy.